to Italy last year, and we flew to Genoa, and then we took a train to the towns we were staying in. And that coast of Italy, it's like this on the vertical, and it's like this when you're going along it. It's just this in and out, it's in and out. And so the train kind of goes right along the edge of the cliff. And so you'd be going along the straightaway, and then you see where the train tracks go, and then that's it. You can't really see past that. And so you're coming up on this curve, and you're looking at the train tracks, and you're looking out, and all you see is ocean. And it looks like you're just going to zoom right out, and you're going to go, and off you go into the ocean. And that happened like every 2 miles. So I'm not a big fan of heights, and I'm not a big fan of open spaces, so it was a little unnerving. But the thing about it was that those were the best parts. Because when you come out on the curve, that's when you can see. That's when you can see the ocean spread out before you. That's when you can see the rocks below you. That's when you can see the coastline up ahead with the trees and the houses. And it was in the curves that were both the most scary, the most terrifying, and the most beautiful part of the whole trip. Well, Peter gets a bit of a curve thrown here. He's in town, but he's in town for something else. He's not in town for this. He's in town, we don't know why. He's just sort of in town. And these people come to him, and they ask him, hey, can you come help? Tabitha has died. Well, what's he going to do? There's not a lot you can do there, right? I mean, she's dead. So, he's already there for something. And he's supposed to stop doing that to go do something where he's probably not going to be able to help anyone. I mean, what kind of a fool would say yes to that? So, of course, Peter doesn't, because he's Peter. And he goes, and, it's not just like it was some person. It's not some random human being. This was Tabitha. Everybody knew Tabitha. She was an awesome person that everybody loved. She was always out there. It actually says she was known for always helping the poor, for always helping those in need. She was a legend. Everybody loved Tabitha. Always helping others, always serving the poor. Please come and help, they said to Peter. But what's he going to do? I mean, what is there to do? She's dead, not a lot you can do there. Like Miracle Max said in The Princess Bride, there's only one thing you can do then. Go through their pockets and look for loose change, right? That's it. That's all you can do. Please come and help. They don't ask for him to raise her from the dead. They don't ask really for anything. They don't say, come and do this. Hey, Peter, here's what you can do to help. Here's what we're looking for. What we want is this. A lot of times I'll get calls when people have died and people want scripture, prayer, funeral, just a presence, whatever. They don't give them anything. Just say, please, Peter, come and help. They beg. And if you look at it, you get the impression, at least I did when I was reading it, that they kind of expected her to stay dead. Because she was all prepared. She was ready for burial. I don't think anybody expected this. Anybody expected this miracle. And when Peter gets there, the room is full of grieving widows. As if grieving people aren't bad enough, they're grieving widows, right? And, with a kid, with a 9-year-old who's never really experienced death, you might be able to walk up to him and say, hey, I'm going to raise this person from the dead, and they might fall for it. But not a widow. Because a widow knows what it's like to pray to God, to cry out to God, to say to God, please save my loved one and not have it happen. A widow knows what it's like to say that prayer, to get on your knees, to beg, to hope, to ask, and to be disappointed. So a widow is going to know that it's not going to happen. And not only that, but they're a mess. They're weeping, they're crying, and they're waving these cloaks. I mean, picturing that in my mind, this room full of grieving women waving different colored cloaks, each one a tangible sign of the hurt, each one a visible reminder of the loss. I mean, picturing that room, I could see the pain. I could see it right there. Only a fool would walk into a room like that. I mean, you'd have to be one. You'd have to be a fool. And so, Peter walks in, and he doesn't tell anybody anything. Doesn't give anybody answers. He doesn't explain, well, folks, this is my plan. I'm going to do A, B, and C. He walks in, and he just sort of says to everybody, I'm going to need the room, people. And out they go. And then he prays. Now, you've probably heard me say before that prayer is more than just asking God for stuff, but part of prayer is asking God for stuff. I don't think Peter here had any idea what he was doing. No clue. He went somewhere, abandoning the work he was supposed to be doing, going somewhere where he wasn't going to be able to help, into a room full of grieving people with no idea what he was supposed to do. And so he prayed. Which is not a bad idea, by the way, when you don't know what to do. I highly recommend prayer. He just got down on his knees and he prayed. Probably because he looked around and he went, what did I get myself into? What am I doing here? He just clears the room, and now he's alone with a dead woman. I think that's the part where probably most of us would kind of get a little creeped out, a little weird. Not sure when the last time you were alone with a dead body was, but it's probably been a while. I know it's been a while for me. Doesn't happen a lot. Most of us be a little weirded out. And I'd imagine that Peter was probably a little weirded out too. He's in this room here, in this situation where it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do anything, when he should have been doing something else, and there's a dead body there. He gets down, and he prays. And again, I don't think he was praying for God to raise her. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. We don't know. I think he just said, God, what do I do now? What do I do now? And now he comes to the point where if God told you to say that, would you do it? If God told you to say to that dead loved one, that dead friend, that dead stranger, get up, would you do it? You kind of have to be a fool, I think, to believe that that's going to happen. But then again, this is Peter. He's got a history of being a fool. So he says it. And lo and behold, it actually happens. It's unbelievable. But the series of events, the whole series of events is unbelievable. All of it is foolish. Every step along the way of what Peter did is completely foolish. Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians that since God in his wisdom saw to it that the world would never find him through human wisdom, he has used our foolish preaching to save all who believe. Stopping what he was doing, giving up his agenda, was foolish. Going to Tabitha's house when she was dead to try and help was foolish. Walking into a room full of grieving widows is foolish. Saying to a dead person, get up, is foolish. Unless God tells you to do it, and then a miracle happens. Our lives are crazy.